All right, we are back with part 2 of fetal development. So we kind of talked about the breakdown of the trimesters and then what all gets developed within those first few weeks of that sperm cell and egg cell uniting, starting new life. And this is the beginning of the embryo or embryonic stage. So over the next 40 weeks then, it is going to go through lots of changes and it's going to start off looking not so much like a human baby, but then it is going to grow all the way into the 40th week on that bottom right-hand photo of a full-grown baby, and it's going to do something called flipping into a head down position. This is also known as lightning, when that baby engages into the pelvis and is getting ready to go through labor and delivery. So in order to go through a vaginal delivery, the baby needs to go into a head down position. And then during the labor process, contractions will start, and that is that uterus squeezing and kind of pushing down onto the cervix. As you can see in that bottom left-hand photo, the cervix it's thick and it's closed, and what happens is it starts to thin from those contractions of that baby's head kind of pushing at it and pushing on it. With every contraction, it starts to thin or efface, and then it also opens or dilates. So if you've ever been watching a movie and they talk about a woman is dilating and she's going to 10 centimeters and then she can have the baby, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about cervix changes. The cervix must thin, and then it dilates to 10 centimeters, and then the woman is able to start pushing to deliver the baby through the vagina and out the vaginal opening. So if you are unaware of that's how babies are born, they pass through the vagina and out the vaginal opening. Some babies like to be a little bit difficult, and they like to stay in a butt down or breech position or a transverse or side lying position. And in those positions, babies cannot be born vaginally. They cannot come through the vaginal opening to be born that way. They would have to go through something called a C-section. A C-section is when the physician would make a small cut just above like the pubic hair line of mom, and then the baby would be delivered through there. So now they would have to cut through not only the abdominal muscles, but then also they would cut into the uterus and then break the amniotic sac and pull baby out that way. And that would be the safest way for babies in these different positions that are not head down. So babies that are head down, as you can see in the far right, they like to squish away all of mom's other organs. So her stomach, her intestines, and even her poor little bladder that's just getting squished. Everything kind of moves out of the way for baby to be born, or to grow and then eventually be born. So I always get the question, well, how do twins happen? So there's the difference between fraternal twins and identical twins. So fraternal twins come when there is 2 eggs released during ovulation. So typically during ovulation, when a woman is having her menstrual cycle, usually only one ovary will release 1 egg, but sometimes the ovaries will release more than 1 egg. And so when that happens, if both eggs are fertilized by separate sperm cells, then they would both potentially grow into babies, where these babies would have separate placentas. They would grow in separate amniotic sacs and grow together that way, kind of in that far bottom right-hand corner. But identical twins come when 1 sperm cell and 1 egg cell are come together, and then they split into 2 babies that grow. So they'll share a placenta, they'll share an amniotic sac and float around in the same amniotic fluid, and they will grow as 2 identical babies. So fraternal twins are basically just like growing at the same time as your sibling, whereas identical twins will share the same genetic makeup because they came from the same sperm and egg cell. I know there's always more questions on babies and pregnancy, so please feel free to submit questions after this.